This program is brought to you by Pussy Magnets.
Put a midge on your friend with a pussy magnet.
Welcome, my lovely lumps. Or should I say lovely labs? I'm so thrilled to have you here in the Labia Lounge. We're going to yarn about all things sexuality, womanhood, relationships, intimacy, holistic health, and everything in between. Your legs. Ooh, can't help myself. Anyway, we're going to have vag loads of real chats with real people about real shit. So buckle up, you're about to receive the sex ed that you never had and have a bloody good laugh while you're at it. Before we dive in, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. It's an absolute privilege to be living and creating dope podcast content in Naarm, and I pay respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. Now, if you're ready, let's flap and do this. Oh my God, is there such thing as too many vagina jokes in the one intro? Whatever, it's my podcast. I'm leaving it in.
Don't panic, you're not broken. Your sex education was a piece of shit. Get your flaps out and pull up a couch. It's the Labia Lounge.
Hello, darling hearts. So, this episode's a bit of a special one. Bit of bonus VIP content here. I wasn't even sure if I was going to pop it on the regular podcast or make it sort of paywalled on Patreon or something. But ultimately I want as many people to hear it as possible, and I think it is going to be really fascinating and offer such a unique and cool insight into a realm, a community, a culture, a sexual orientation and expression that so many people misunderstand and don't really get an opportunity to learn about or understand better. So basically, I've interviewed a good friend of mine, darling Liam, who's been courageous and brave and vulnerable enough to let me pick their brains about being identified as a furry, being sexually attracted to this kind of lens through which to engage with sexuality. We talk about how the furry lifestyle allows for more uninhibited and primal behavior, particularly in sexual encounters where it allows authentic expression and bypasses a lot of societal conditioning. We also talk about what the sexual appeal of furriness is, different expressions of being a furry, how Liam identifies with it and engages with it. What does furry sex look like? What does it involve? We talk about furry porn and sex toys, the common overlap with neurodivergence, introversion, social anxiety, things like this, and why it can be a really appealing scene and community for people with these whose brains work like this. Liam tells us why everyone's a furry and they just don't know it yet. We talk about common misunderstandings or misconceptions about this kink, and we basically just have a really amazing yarn about this freaking crazy, interesting niche of, I don't even know. I mean, I had a sick time. It was great to be able to just ask all the questions that I've always wanted to ask and understand it better. The audio isn't great, so definitely stick with us. Like, it's audible, but because we were sort of just chilling out in bed and having an informal chat over a cup of tea, and we know I'm not the most tech savvy person, there was definitely some pretty echoey sounds going on. And I've decided for that reason to also upload the raw video to my YouTube channel. I don't normally do that, but since we're having the yarn in person, I thought it might work better if there's also a visual element for those that are interested. But yeah, despite the sound quality, I promise you this is such a fascinating and valuable chat. Basically, the hope is that this episode is a resource for those who might be curious, maybe, haven't found a community or an outlet or information on this sort of thing yet. And Liam was sort of saying, oh my gosh, imagine if I'd had a podcast to hear, like this when I was young and just starting to engage with furry porn and this part of myself that I held so much deep shame and confusion around, it would have been really validating and helped if I'd had a resource like this. So that's part of the intention. And then the other part is, for those who aren't into this and aren't even kinky, I think it's so valuable to understand from someone's perspective who is, the ins and outs of this and get a grasp on it so that you can be a more understanding, compassionate, non-judgmental person and a safe space for those who do have kinks that they may be battling some shame or some fear or anxiety around, fully stepping into and embodying, and basically just educating yourself so that you're contributing to making the world a safer space and a more welcoming and inviting space for these people to share that side of themselves with you, with others. I think it's important to start the trend of more acceptance and at least attempts to understand how other people work and, create a more accepting, shame-free environment for all. And if you want to get in touch with Liam, as they say on the podcast, they're pretty open to starting a bit of a community and being a safe space for people that would like to explore this in any shape or form. And since it is kind of tricky to find that community in Melbourne, Liam is really open to starting a bit of a thing with you. So definitely get in touch with me or get in touch with Liam if you want to delve deeper. So I hope you enjoy and please share. I think we're on.
Fuck yeah.
Oh my God, that was such an ordeal. Dear oh dear. I did not think this was going to happen. Especially after I got towed today, so I've been having a shit one with car trouble, so I'm already absolutely exhausted and off it. And then we just had would you say 45 minutes of tech frustrations and difficulties?
It probably was anyway.
Oh my God, I am rinsed. I have zero capacity for tech stuff, and after the car stuff that I also have zero capacity for, fuck, love RSCV though, but I mean they couldn't help me, but I did feel looked after just getting towed all the way home. Okay, so Liam, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself and why we're, or would you prefer me to just start asking you some questions?
I'll introduce myself.
Alright, beauty.
My name is Liam. I feel like it's Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been a furry for I don't know, furry stuff has always been, I don't know why exactly it's been intriguing for me. I'm still on a long-term expedition to find what that part of me really means to me, but it also forms a very central part of the way that I operate day to day in my life, and started off as a trippy idea that I thought of on acid in a way, and then sort of filtered down into something really real for me and something very grounded in my own sense of spirituality and kink and sensuality, sexuality, and in different elements in my life it's played out, and I think in that sort of animalistic, primal, furry, embodying an animal, the human animal way, it has been very expansive in my own sex life, and made me feel a lot more of myself and be able to do a lot of somatic expression in the moment as well, and sort of help other people do that at the same time. And and then it only gets weirder from here.
Oh my God, is it my turn to talk? I just got lost in what you're saying. I was actually just trying to take a quick note to follow up and ask you about what you meant by somatic expressions and how you're helping facilitate that in others. How does the furry kind of I don't know, would you say lifestyle, culture,
perspective, like, how does that help you be more somatic, or like, do you mean like in your body and embodied and expressive?
I think, yeah. I think that, in the world, we're really trapped and very emptied of all of our energy and sort of stifled in a way, when we should be fiery and should have that passion, fire of our passionate intent, and should be liberated and be liberal with the way that we express ourselves in our life, through, like burping and farting, sneezing and laughing and cursing and, being loud and boastful and happy and boisterous and, like everything. And so when it comes to like, furriness in the bedroom, then like some of my favorite sexual encounters have been with female-bodied people, just being very like animalistic, and especially when I've had long-term partners, one in particular, where I could where we sort of knew what each other wanted and what we needed, and it's like even like arguments had devolved into like some like hot fiery sex. Remember she fucking threw what she throw at me, like a thing full of popcorn. She like threw it all over me. She was just so fucking angry about something else. And for me, it's like I because I practice martial arts, like I'll eat that frustration, and I'm just happy that person got to express what they needed. Because it's like if they need to get that out and that level of frustration, I don't think it necessarily matters. Like if it is exactly in line with the thing, it doesn't have to be about what you were frustrated about. It can just be frustration, like put elsewhere. And so just in that motion, just, like physically rolling and moving with somebody, and then letting out all those sounds like growls and like, guttural sounds and, just,
like a lack of inhibition as well.
Yeah,
like
lack of inhibition, yeah, and freedom.
Yeah, because so many people feel really uncomfortable, like making much sound or sounding little too like animalistic or primal, or the sounds of like true like fucking intense female orgasm is like can be similar to like birth, like very guttural and like deep and like not like pretty like sounds, and so I'm hearing that like furriness, like embodying, I don't know, more the spirit of an animal, which is therefore more primal and animalistic and close to nature, that like allows you to just bypass a lot of the conditioning that we've had that's like suppressing that level of like authentic expression.
Yeah.
Furriness is the gateway. Is that what you're saying?
For me,
did I just encapsulate that really well?
That was great.
Okay, sweet. But is that like all furry culture? Or is that your
this is my brand.
That's cool. But like, are there other people that also enjoy these elements of it?
Well, every person I've been with who has done that.
That maybe wouldn't even identify as furries.
No. And it doesn't even necessarily like this is a furry thing, this is what is happening.
Yeah.
But that's how it happened, and that's what we did, and that to me, looking back at it, is what that was. And so it's like and I think it's exactly what you said, because it's like we have all these modes and these like sort of default ways of being that have been programmed into us through pornography or through just like media in general, like different like rom-coms and different like whatever kind of various films and shit, and it sort of stifles our expression, as I said.
100%.
And so if we can be this other thing, if we can do this kinky whatever, we can be this crazy character, we can be this fantasy, we can be this other thing, we can be this like, it's like I have permission to make a sound because I'm not me, I'm an animal. I'm not me, I'm Princess Leia, I'm Tomb Raider, I'm any of these
and so
things.
it's like,
So that's where the kink thing comes in, and then frees people because they are able to step into something that maybe usually they wouldn't be comfortable with, but because it's like sidestepping the anxiety of being big yourself. You know what I mean?
yeah. Which, like, for me, it's like my worst nightmare. Like, I hate role play stuff. Really, like, I don't know. I can't just get into, like, it really. I find it really difficult, and I guess that's like, I actually used to love acting when I was younger, and probably got teased and bullied, and creativity got crushed out of me. And it wasn't like cool to do that, and then now I'm just like, oh my God, if you threw me in an improv class, I would literally spontaneously combust. I'd fucking hate it. Like, I don't like acting or role play stuff now. And so, yeah, like, even like sexual kind of kinks where there's role play involved, or like, the idea of embodying an animal or whatever, like, I cannot think of anything that would make me more uncomfortable. So it's very impressive to me when people have thrown off the shackles of those inhibitions and like insecurities or fears or whatever the fuck. I don't even know what it is. Like an internal judge of like that's got the voice of like the cool teenagers I went to high school with. Man. Like, so it must be really liberating. Like, that's fucking really cool. And like, yeah, it sounds a bit like you've grappled with some shame around it as well and internalized fucking, I mean.
Happens really often for me when I have sex generally, because I feel a lot of shame and anxiety and everything gets heightened, and it's a very sensitive space for me. So yeah, when a partner can meet me there and like help me just be expressive, by knowing each other well enough, and having, for now, the way I would do it is have like proper pre-talk, and then we're talking about it, the do's and don'ts and yucks and yums, and and then we're just and then we talk about desires and things. We have a little kinky, nice, fun conversation and develop it into it's like it's not even necessarily, I wouldn't say it's like foreplay. I would say it is sex in a way. It's like the conversation can be spicy and make you feel good, and sex is basically just a good feeling at the base of it. So
it's just amazing the level of like vulnerability that you need to be able to feel comfortable and safe with, like, to share that side and show that side of
it takes a lot from you. Someone has to be really very gentle, and that's the thing, is that like I think a lot of people have these like very like little kinky things or like little desires, or I think everybody's secretly a pervert deep down. We just want to
secretly
a pervert deep down.
A pervert.
Like we want to see, we want to do, we want to feel, and I think by people continuing along the trend of creating the kind of mental and physical and sexual safety that we are trying to do, then the more safety that we can put into action, then the more open and more exciting our sexual lives will be, because we're allowing people like me. This is what would happen if somebody really made me feel safe, is that then I'd be able to open that space for them, and then,
And then, like, what does that, like, look like in the bedroom? Like are we, like, role-playing to being animals, just making animal sounds? Like, I don't know, like talk me through it, because I just have no idea.
So there's like, I think there's different levels, there's different tiers, I feel like, Like, it's not all like those, like, American kind of furry vibes of, like, animal suit costumes and big, like, big animal heads. That's the...
But it's not all...
No, that's not what it is to me, but that's, like, I respect them for
that's, like, the main...
doing what they're doing. I guess there's, like, a caveat, it's nice to be able to explain that realm of furriness to...
Well, yeah, I want to cover that as well, like, because it's interesting, because I just have only seen a couple of docos on that, like...
The Vice one.
Yeah, and maybe, like, a Channel 5 or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But like,
I love Channel 5.
it's, you know, at the conventions where there's like so many and there's so much community, and it's like, you know, I think you were describing to me once like the idea of, especially as like a socially anxious person or a neurodivergent person or an introvert or like, you know, someone who just like to go and wear a costume and have like a full mask over their head and like all they have to say all evening is like meow if they want, or they can chat to people
or nothing.
and they like get to be
sign.
around other people and like be in a social space without the anxiety of like, I don't know, I was just like, whoa, I never thought about it like that. I thought it was just a like sex kink, you know. So there's different like facets of it that people enjoy, and I imagine like some enjoy certain facets like more than others. Like maybe someone who's like really into the actual fursona, which I want to talk about, like the fursona animal suits and stuff. Like I imagine they have like sex flaps that they can leave the suits on and fuck while they're wearing them and stuff. Yeah, so like that's like one end of the spectrum, and then your expression of it has been really fascinating to like talk to you about, because it's not as much about this sort of costume and the I don't know. So yeah,
it's actually like, you know, quite a bit less about that. I wish I had that courage to, you know, put all that effort in and then go to those conventions and meet those people. That's a big. That would take a lot of courage to go there and to express your kink openly and
But I think
publicly.
there's way more of it in America, and they have full conventions for it, so they wouldn't even, they would feel comfortable there because it's like, these are my people. Yeah. It's harder in Australia, no?
Yeah, it is, and maybe you go to Comic-Con, you see one person, but it's like, you know, it's like not necessarily like, you know, I'm not saying I've even looked that deeply either. There could be like little niche communities that I just don't know about.
If you know about any niche furry communities, let us know, because it's hard to find.
Yeah, totally. But what was your question? Just like, what is it? What does it look like?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, maybe if people don't know what furriness is, or
you want to talk about furriness, not about how I.
Maybe both. Maybe like the mainstream. Can we say mainstream furry?
Okay, so we'll contrast them. So like, mainstream furry. It's funny.
No, that's why I put like a quotation mark.
Quote mainstream furry is
the majority, maybe.
Yeah, the majority of people who do furry stuff sort of, they make the costumes. They have a first of all, they have a fursona, and their fursona is like an idealistic version of themselves, with all the character traits that they would wish that they had, all the confidence that they wish they had, all the, you know, maybe it looks sexy, or they've drawn a sexy version of it, or maybe not. Maybe it looks strong. And maybe strong is sexy to them. Maybe it's so many different things. And that forms a fursona and an identity that they can choose to replicate with a full fursuit that is custom made, and, you know, wear it embodying this character, talking like this character does, being excited, being proud, being silly, being, you know, conniving, whatever, like, you know, character they want to enact. And that to me was always beautiful, because it meant that, you know, it's just like for me with video games, it was always the same thing. I could be a character as well, you know, and that character wasn't me, and that character could be confident, and that character could be interesting, and, you know, all that stuff, and all the things that I was lacking in terms of like a sense of self-worth. And so I guess how that compares to me is like the furries that go to the conventions, they'll build the suits, they'll just talk about furry things, you know.
They'll yiff. Furry sex is called yiffing, which I found that really tickled me.
It's so cute. It's such a cute word.
Yiffing, it is so cute. Yeah. And I guess that's like, I mean, is that part of it? Because the furry suits seem more cute than tough. Like, is part of the appeal like,
it's just cute.
Like fucking cute animals that are like, I don't know.
It's just cute, like, anxious humans who find it very difficult to interact. And I think there's a lot of humans out there like that who are a bit more anxious, but that gives their brain so much energy for their sexual desires. So then when you get there with them and you're a safe enough person, then the way that they'll open up to you is like, is, you know, it's almost like a waterfall of like a torrent of all this like interesting, fun stuff that they want to try. And, you know, and I think that's what a lot of the community is. That's me. That's who I am. Like, because it's just because my sexual energy is based on how much people can make me feel safe, and how safe I can make the situation myself, and all that sort of stuff. And so how it works out for me, how furriness is for me is that you can see these things around my neck. The two different walls. This one's made of malachite. This is my yin. This is my yang, little snow wolf. And
they're like wolf carvings for the listeners. No, it's an audio podcast, though. So.
And then, so they form a central part of my my yin and my yang in my life, and my own sense of spirituality, and give me a sort of because I've got autism and ADHD and OCPD, CPTSD, lots of the old things, then being in reality can be really hard for me a lot of the time. And so then I choose to embody the character of either of these, like these wolves or the wolf I am, to help me operate in my life and hold my head high and be confident. And so that forms a sort of central part of who I am, because that's who I actually genuinely truly see myself as, and I know it doesn't make any sense, and it's like a spiritual sort of blah blah thing, but it is like I've seen it enough times in my life, and came to it in the right ways, and I still see that image when I'm on the right path. Like I saw that neon sign today, there's little, it looked like a wolf. It's like, it just means, it's always been signs to me that things, synchronicities are happening and I'm on the right track towards stuff. So that's like spiritual side. Then sexual side is like when I'm in the bedroom, like with people who I've had a longer connection with, which is now the only sort of thing I want, because I realize how much better sex can get. Because of the deeper level of connection and how much I can know people, and getting to all these like kinky things and these fun stuff, and it's like I don't need to just keep like flipping the body, flip next body. It's like you actually want to invest in a human being and then see if they're the kind of human being that aligns with me, and then if they align with me, then we'll have great sex and we'll have a great relationship. But when we get deeper, then I've explained all this to them, and we can connect in that way where I can, I can growl, and I can, like
like animal sex.
Like, and especially when you're having sex and you're really with somebody else who's very, really fiery, and strong physically, then you can wrestle a bit, and it's just hot. It's just like sexiness, and then you play with the the level of desire in that way, and like it's like one of the best times I've ever had was just like it's like we were two animals like trying to kill each other.
But having sex?
Yeah, and then but having sex at the same time, and then it was like and then lots of check-ins and clarity. To make sure everything was all good, but we had to develop relationship. So it's like you're trying to kill something also, but also fuck it at the same time. That was like, oh man, thinking about that, man, so beautiful. And that all those growls and expression, that anger, it's like I recognize that from training martial arts. That again, it doesn't matter where the frustration comes out; it just matters that it does. And if it's in an open, sensual, pleasurable space, then I feel like where it gets caught is a very strong vessel, and so it can be, to me, it can be as simple as just when I'm with people, just checking them a little bit and growling and doing things, and if they think it's weird or if they don't like it, then it's just not the right person for me.
Right, so is that how you kind of, like, how do you test the waters with a new person? Do you come out and say, like, hey, I'm a furry, or, like, do you kind of just gauge it by starting to, like, purr a bit here and there, or, like, How do you fucking...
Well, it's like I've tried so many different ways, but it's like I just feel like, you know, you just got to let people know who you are, you know. So it's not like you don't waste their time.
It's such a misunderstood thing as well. I feel
so
like
it's like if they want to understand it.
If someone came out and was like sexually to me, because I'm fucking vanilla nil and I don't have pretty much any kinks, like, and I really didn't understand what like furriness was, and like honestly, like in earlier years, like it was pretty easy to make fun of. Like it copped a lot of shit. Like so if someone was like, "Hey, I'm into you, let's have sex," I just should let you know I'm a furry. I would think of the vice docker and be like, "Oh fuck no, I'm not into that. I'm sorry." But if you were like, if I was getting to know you and you were like just slowly sneaking little bits in of like, just like, you know. I don't know. I don't even know. Maybe you could sneak it up on me. And also, since having like chats about this, I'm starting to come to understand it so much differently, at least through your lens. And I'm like, oh, I fucking get that. That sounds great, actually. Like, it's not my thing. I don't really think I could maybe ever be that uninhibited to get into it. Also, not really sure if it would even feel authentic to me. But it's fucking cool. So anyway, yeah, how do you go about it? Like, now, what do you reckon is the best approach?
I think it's different. Like, you know, if anybody is interested in doing those things for themselves, it's just like, I think literally, physically, biologically, we are an animal. We literally are a mammal, you know, and I think that we do have these very primal sounds that come out during sex. And I think it's just as simple as just letting those sounds out and honoring that is a part of your pleasure in the world. And also that sound, you know, laughter sounds like freedom, but so does pleasure in any form, really. Laughter, everything. Maybe just expression is freedom, you know. So,
like, then at what point do you go, hey, do you want to, like, put on a costume? You want to put on a costume and do some animal role play?
I think that's a really far down the track for me. Right. You know, it's like people, I need to be really sure that people are, like, the safe, you know, right person, you know, and that's a whole thing, you know, so I want to make sure that it's a secure connection. So if I get all this stuff ready, you know, it's like there's different ways to do it, you know.
Get all the stuff ready.
So the sexiest way I've seen it done on a female-bodied person.
Hey gang! Just before we jump into this episode, I wanted to offer you an opportunity to access my new mini course for free before I start charging for it in future. It's for people with vulvas and it's quick to complete. It's all about demystifying the female body and pleasure anatomy and getting some basic fundamentals to understand your body better. It's called Pussy Pleasure Secrets, Your Roadmap to Bedroom Bliss. You can grab it on the freebies page of my website or in the show notes. It's a great little free resource to kind of dip your toe in or act as a bit of a taster for my work. So if you've ever been curious about this sort of thing and you just don't know where to start, or you want a really quick, easy, accessible, non-threatening way to get the ball rolling and start working on this stuff, this is a great place to start.
The sexiest way I've seen it done on female-bodied people in real life, because there's obviously like the whole anthropomorphic pornography scene, which is another whole concept.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that.
and then there's like, so butt plug tails.
Oh my god, epic.
Butt plug tails, paw socks, squishy paw socks.
Oh yeah,
so like
okay.
on your foot, just like here, and here on your big toe, on the ball of your foot, and then on the other side, on the far side of your foot, there'll be like little squidgy things, and then a little thing on the
fun to walk around in. Honestly, paws would be dope.
And it's like you can get like a, you know, thigh high, you know, stocking sort of thing, and it looks super sexy. And then little ears that go on that are shaped nicely that go with your hair, little clip-in ones. So there's no band, it's not a cross. It's like
they look like real ears poking out of your head.
They look like real ears poking out of your head. And then the next step from that would be to do like full face makeup, looking like the animal that you want to embody. And then, you know, it's like when you put on a dress, it makes you feel a certain way. You know, you put on a suit, it makes you feel a certain way. you put these something in your bum, and you put
the butt plug tail. Yeah, okay.
And then you put the ears in your hair, and then you have like, you know, maybe like a furry sort of like vesty thing, or, you know, then it makes you feel a certain way, and it can make it like extra spicy and sexy, and then, you know, they can hold the tail while you're fucking, and you can, you know, all sorts of things, you know, it's like, and you can do paw hand as well, like paw hand socky things, you know, so it's like, and then like a lot of female body people, I think, are, you know, I see as cats, and so, and they do purr or they meow at each other, so, you know, that's like, it's my conspiracy brain going, thinking that like, oh, everybody's actually a furry.
Everyone's a furry. They just don't know it yet.
They just don't know it yet, and they just need to, you know, let that space be open in a sexual way.
I'm like, you've got me convinced. I'm like, give me a butt plug tail and some fucking ears that look, what? Like,
it's really nice.
And
it's
I also kind of get because like I fucking love fantasy and sci-fi. I love fantasy movies. I like love fairies. I get the like pixie ears and all that, but like it's just not like, I can't actually like, it doesn't actually make me feel any certain way, and when I see it, I can't see it as anything other than a costume. I can't get into the full like.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but so that's cool, because I think it takes like a certain amount of like imagination and willingness and playfulness and childlikeness, and just like taking joy for, like, I think that's really fucking cool, and I feel like I'm so jaded I've lost it, but I was definitely it was sounding super appealing how you were just describing it, and I'm like, wow, this is what I mean, like there's so much more depth to probably like most kinks, honestly, than anyone realizes. Really, from the outside it's just like, oh, look at these guys like fucking in animal suits. Like, so with sex positions, do you ever like actually fuck like animals? Is it erotic to think of being animals or fucking an animal, or is it more just like embodying the?
Not necessarily like an animal per se, but it's more like an anthropomorphized animal, which is like a humanized version of an animal. So it's not necessarily like because bestiality is obviously a thing that comes up in the conversation, but it's like it's nothing to do with that. It's everything to do with the like I don't know, I guess that connection with the people.
And like would that have stemmed a lot from like the anthropomorphic porn that you like, cartoon animal humans and it's like that are erotica?
It's like hentai, you know, anyone's seen hentai. You know, it's like
which is the Japanese
cartoon porn, basically, and they got comics and manga and all that.
What's the difference between? I never know hentai and manga. What's the difference?
No, I think I'm not a fucking expert on this, but manga, I'm pretty sure is just means this like a series of comics, and I think some can be hentai manga. Because they're just they're pornographic, but they're a series of books. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then
it's like fiction and then erotic fiction. It's like the smart version of. Okay, so let's get back on track. Cool. So it's not, bestiality is its own kink or whatever.
Well, bestiality is illegal.
Yeah, 100%.
Bestiality means
it's
actually
a different thing.
Having sex with an animal, which can't be consensual because animals can't give consent.
Okay, well, obviously. But you can watch fucking porn on that, and that is a different thing. But the furry thing is more like stemming from like, these like kind of sexy cartoon, like fucking, you know, Daisy Bunny and like Ariel the Little Mermaid. I mean, she's a fucking mermaid, which is hot, right?
Lola Bunny from Space Jam.
I think that's who I meant. Who did I
Daisy,
say?
you're saying this like a Nintendo.
Bugs Bunny's like Bugs Bunny's like girl bunny.
Mario.
Oh fuck,
Daisy,
I don't know.
Daisy's from Mario.
All right, well I'm getting them all mixed up, but they're like hot ass. And there was even like an Olympic mascot, the Aussie Olympics in 2004. Maybe do you remember those mascots? One of them, I think it was Sid. Can't remember. Was it the platypus? I don't know though. He was a tank and like definitely the sexiest Olympic mascot. One like we had this whole thing. Our friends were like, "Who's the hot?" Like anyway, I'm getting off track. Sexy cartoons like anthropomorphized.
That's funny because people do think that cartoons are sexy, you know, people, and they don't even
it's
connect
most people's
these dots.
First crush is Lola from Space Jam for sure. Okay, so that's basically budding furriness. furryism.
That's I would say that you've just sprouted this little sapling.
Okay.
You're growing.
Okay, I get it. Heaps of cartoon characters. Although,
Man.
I don't know. Anyway, okay, cool. So,
yeah, and there's there's hentai, there's comics about it. There's really good just like art of of individual characters that they've done, or and Rule 34 is a big big part of it, which
what's
is
that?
Rule 34 is that if you have heard of it, there's a porn of it.
Yeah,
basically.
totally.
And so they did like the Samsung, I think she was called Cortana, and then so they made the Samsung woman into a real person and did a sexy version of the it's like Siri for Samsung phones. So that is a sexy version of the
Oh
Cortana.
my god!
Well, they did like sexy coronavirus.
Oh,
like,
dude, honestly,
like a coronavirus, the actual virus, and it's like got a nurse costume.
What? Honestly,
It's actually it's like I don't know how they did it. They made it
are
sexy.
fucking funny. They just
It's the most it just cuts through everything. There's like there's no filter on anywhere. There's no filter on Rule 34 pages on the internet making porn of the most horrific shit.
So wait, Rule 34 is like this sort of term. There's not a website called Rule 34 which has
No.
all the most fucked shit. Okay.
No, but there probably is one that's got that
So
name
that's-
there, the domain there.
I've actually never heard of that. I'm not a child of the internet and I don't know these things, but it's a whole other world and
I don't know many
I've
people do,
I've
actually.
basically never watched porn.
No
so
one else has ever mentioned it to me.
Oh, Rule 34? Where did you get it then?
I don't know. I just have spent so much time on computers.
Weird. Alright, let
I've
me
found everything. No, not quite.
Fuck. And so yeah, I mean, because like, how old were you when you got into like furry porn? Wait, so is there furry porn where there's like videos of? I mean, Rule 34.
Yeah,
of course, there
there's
is
some good
videos
ones.
of people in fursona costumes fucking, but
That's
then there's
not
also
so interested in that.
You're into the cartoon.
You can't be not many positions or very long in the sweaty ass hot
I mean, it
suit.
sounds awful. Yeah,
I don't know. It's
You
all
can't
for the
make
fantasy.
out. I love a pash. Like how you can't even make eye contact.
But
with
also, there's just on that quick is like another sexy part for me is like pup hoods, and then getting a pup hood.
What's that?
It's for pup play, which is another
What's
sort
pup
of
play?
sect of
A pup, like puppy.
puppy, like having a collar on and being led around, and then drinking from a bowl, and then having a cage, and
Yeah.
that's on the higher end of the spectrum. I don't know if I do the cage or drink from the bowl or just eating food off the ground or
So that's
acting
kind of
like
like
a dog.
a sub-genre of furry.
Literally sub, because it's submissive.
Oh my god,
It's sub.
true. I'm a genius. Oh my god, no wonder I have a podcast. Okay, whoa, this is like all just so interesting.
But yeah, the pup hood, you can get one that like comes out like this, and the bottom is cut off, so you can use your mouth. So, but then you can get other ones that are full face where
Oh,
they
pup
cover your mouth.
hood.
Hood, and it's
Okay.
made of leather.
Oh wow, okay. And it
There's
has
some really
ears and
tasteful ones, yeah.
Fuck man,
I found some good ones.
Wow.
I've been looking for ages.
Oh, like so you're into pupping? Is that what you call it?
Well, I'd like to try it. I have
Okay.
never got the chance, but I know that it's something that I would love to do for sure.
Okay.
With the right person in the right.
Yeah,
but a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of people in the kink scene try these intense kinks in public first, and that's very exhibitionist. That's a pretty, and just because it's available there, then they're trying it there. But you can't really gauge well if you like that stuff or not if you're doing it in front of so many people, if you're not an exhibitionist person.
Wow.
So it's like, then people are thinking that, oh yeah, I don't like this kink or that kink. No, you did it in front of 23 people. Or you did it in a room full of loud music. Or what if you did it alone and you did it, with one partner?
It's
and
so like
subtly
about
and
context
carefully.
and like set and setting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like you
It's all
can
the same
have
shit.
such a different experience just tweaking like the humans
sensory
you're
input.
with and straight up.
Yeah.
All right, so how have you gone grappling with like the because I know like the shame, I suppose, because I know up until recently, this is kind of a big deal in itself that you're like being vulnerable with us and sharing all this on a fucking podcast, which is so brave. But like this is quite new territory for you being more open about it, right?
Yeah, because I like, forcing myself into anxious positions where I have a lot of resistance towards doing something, and I like to just put my head in the fire sometimes, and then turns out the fire was water all along.
It's good. Take risks.
And then it's helpful for me because someone's giving a fuck about what I'm saying, and then I'm able to expand on some thoughts that I haven't really been able to verbalize properly. You got ADHD, so verbalizing is very helpful, and it's how I think a lot of the time. So it's actually it's all valuable. What was your question?
So how else have you been? How have you kind of gotten over the shame? Because you used to kind of be a bit of an undercover furry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still very I guess a closet furry, but I'm not a closet furry, but I'm not I don't know. I think with one partner who's people who I pick to be in my life, I usually enjoy their company a lot. So then I open up to them, and I don't need to share it with everyone in the whole world,
I mean,
and it's I would love to be able to do that liberally and stuff, but also it's I don't need to, it's like with my non-binariness, I want to tell people that I'm non-binary, but it's just it's not actually the world's business. It's just actually, not actually even such a big deal. It's just who I am, and and that's a big deal to me, but I don't really care what anyone else thinks.
It's not
deeply.
You have to come out as a. Do you know what I mean? It's a private part of your personal sexual expression, and it's
guys, I'm coming out. I really love scat. I really love.
Yeah, no one does that for
really
any of their kinks. I guess though, people go to BDSM events and then they know other people in the community, and it's very so much camaraderie and bonding. But
that massive one we went to, didn't see a furry. No, not a furry in sight.
Fuck no.
Where are the furries at? But I think
where do you find them in Melbourne?
I'm right here.
but there's no outward scene where people gather. Oh, well, I guess you said you weren't sure.
They're probably all anxious as fuck. Maybe there is a bunch of them there, just they haven't got the courage yet.
Well, do you
so maybe I should be the one. I'll kick down the door. I'll wear the fucking sexy stuff, and people are I like
do
this sexy
it.
Thing.
You should do it.
Yeah, when I get the opportunity, for sure. I just want to get the right things in the ears and tail and all the stuff. And
because you don't have a fursona or a costume or anything like that.
I do have a fursona, but not a costume though.
The wolf fursona. Does it have a name or it's just
No, it's just an energy. I actually wrote it down in my journal, which I don't have on me, but. It's just all the positive things that I could embody basically, and differentiating them into yin and yang, and then choosing sometimes I'll wear one necklace and not the other depending on what the day needs. If I need more patience or if I need more fire, that sort of thing. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Okay. So interesting.
Yeah.
So what other stuff in a sexual setting is would fall under what would maybe a potential sesh look like? Say you were able to express it to the fullest because you had someone you were comfortable with and they were also into it, which is hard to find someone here, but do you role play or is it non-verbal? Is it
you're talking all the way down the line, the maximal version of what I'm talking about?
Maybe, I guess so.
Well, maximally, butt plug tail for both of us, and then paw socks for both of us, cute ears for both of us, and then sexy strappy lingerie, but then also makeup, and then also and this is ideal stuff for me, but a whole role play, something that because there's lots of good examples of comics that I've read and my favorite comics that I've saved on Reddit for fucking years, so it's I can reference one and then you can read lines, you could even learn lines.
There's a script of the comic, erotic comic?
Yeah, because they're erotic furry comics,
So you can role play the characters in your erotic.
Oh, there's one
comics
that I love where it's a cheetah and a elk, not an elk, a gazelle, so it's then the femme-bodied person's in power because they're trying to kill the gazelle, and then they're ooh, what's this? And they're then there's a whole role play of sexiness, and then and then he it's always the same. It's he fucks her, so good that she's too tired to chase after him, and so he gets away.
Whoa. What? That's so funny. Oh my God. Okay. This is so, I just couldn't imagine. Yeah. Like I can't.
That's just one example as well.
Wait, give me another.
More intricate.
Okay. Yeah. Like, so have you, what's your favorite one or something you've role played out, like a scene?
Hey, baby babes. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to pop my head into the lounge here and mention another virtual lounge that I'd love you to get around. It's the Labia Lounge Facebook group that I've created for listeners of the potty to mingle in. There you'll find extra bits and bobs like freebies, behind the scenes, or discounts for offerings from guests who have been interviewed on the podcast. There'll also be, hopefully, inspiring, thought-provoking conversations and support from a community of labial legends like yourself. My vision for this is that it becomes a really supportive, educational and hilarious resource for you to have more access to me and a safe space to ask questions you can't ask anywhere else. So head over to the links in the show notes or look up the Labia Lounge group in Facebook and I'll see you in there. And now, back to the episode.
I've very rarely got the opportunity to do it, unfortunately. But I do, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'll tell you the experience because it was like, it still remains to be one of like my most interesting sexual experiences to date.
Wicked.
Straight up.
Oh, we'd love to hear it.
Because it was with somebody who I'd met in at a doof, and we had like the most beautiful like sexual connection. Like when we first got together, it was just like, my flop wasn't doing the old stand-up machine,
Okay.
So
having a hard time keeping an erection or
getting one. And
Okay.
then I remember her saying something so sweet to me. It was just like, we'll do the best with what we have, and then that was the like central idea to our whole connection and relationship that we were in. And then when we kept connecting after that, and we had a really sweet sort of romantic time, and we're both quite young, like early 20s, and and then I remember one time she came to my place, and we read through, I showed her. It's very an anxious thing for me to show people, my kink, and this is the stuff I like, or this is because it's like, if the reaction is harsh, then it makes me, I'm such an insecure person, it makes me feel really bad about. I was like, I shouldn't have showed this to you, and it was like anxiety. And then but she liked it, and then she liked one of the things that one of the role plays that we were doing, and then one of the comics, and then so I was like, do you want to read it out? Do you want to embody this? And then and we were just reading it in just sitting next to each other, just touching each other, just reading like it in a sexy voice to each other. And we didn't remember the lines or anything like that. It was just like sexy back and forth and sort of forming the scene. And then sort of progressed, and we got amorous and hot, and then we got together, and sort of like I laid her down on the bed, and we just, I remember so distinctly, like when we were fucking, I think she was riding me, and then I had the image that in my head was like her as a lion, and to me she is that like lion spirit.
Was that who she was playing in the comic? Like
no,
the character
she wasn't
she was
a lion.
reading? Oh, okay.
No, but that's what I saw in my brain. I was like, oh, whoa. It's like, that was a trippy moment because we weren't like fucked up or high or whatever. It's just like, and then she had the same, when we discussed it afterwards, she had the same thing in her head. It changed the way that, what it felt like she was fucking, who it felt like she was fucking. It felt like an animal, and we were able to embody and, express those sort of more, animalistic sounds, and, and growl and wrestle and be a bit tough with each other, and, we're all in a like sexy way, and then, and hold that pleasure back, and then, you could hear, and because the sounds are so obvious, it's like, even with a dog, when you heard it, when it's happy, when it's angry, it's like if you make similar sounds, then it's like the, or the, whatever it is, the growling, the whatever. Then it's pretty easy to gauge consent because you know when someone is feeling good or bad or this or that because yeah.
Excuse this quick interruption. I'm shamelessly seeking reviews and 5-star ratings for the potty because, as I'm sure you've noticed by now, it's pretty fab, and the more people who get to hear it, the more people I can help with it. Reviews and ratings actually do make a big difference to this little independent podcaster. And it's really easy to just quickly show your support by taking that simple act of either leaving 5 stars for the show on Spotify or even better, writing a written review and leaving 5 stars over on Apple Podcasts. Or if you're a real overachiever, you can do them both. That would be mad. If you're writing a review, though, just be sure to use G-rated words because despite the fact that this is a podcast about sexuality, words like sex can be censored and your review won't make it through the gates. Lame. Anyway, I would personally recommend doing that right now while you remember, just to get on top of it and let me know you're with me on this journey. Thanks, gang. Enjoy the rest of the epi.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one of my best ones. That was beautiful. That's the kind of sexual experience I'd like to have often. It doesn't have to be every time, but it would be nice. Fuck.
Like, does it kind
different
of
stuff, different moods, different feelings. Yeah.
Does it feel like something's missing for you in sex if you don't have an element of that?
I think the element is play, and I think if there's no play and it's just robotic, then yeah.
But it doesn't have to be animally to be play.
No. That's just how I play, Everybody, when they're a kid, has the blocks laid out very differently, And sometimes they're not blocks, sometimes I like to draw,
Dude, getting fucking poetic up in here. Alright, let me check if I've got any questions on my list I haven't asked yet.
Yeah, play is a very central idea for me in kink and in my own, furry spirit. It's like I think it's the essence of life in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's a full spiritual kind of lifestyle for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's like so much deeper than what I think anyone thinks when they think of furries. And like, do you think it's like, what are some other reasons why people, because that's your like reasoning for being really into it, like maybe wearing suits and stuff, like maybe what are some reasons or like things that people maybe misunderstand about why that would appeal to someone?
I guess firstly, like people think it's all a kink thing straight away, and they just think it's about people wanting to have sex in suits. And that's like always the first look on any sort of kinky thing is that like people judge it. But, there's a thing in kink, which is you can't yuck somebody's yum. And that's a very good mental thing for life is like you can't, like, I don't like that music. You don't like this music. It's like we have different tastes. And that's fine. That's okay. What was the question? Or what are some misconceptions?
Yeah.
People think that...
or like other reasons why people are really into being a furry.
Just the anxious human beings. People who want to embody something else. People want their own sense of, a little bit of escape from themselves, or they just want to feel... They want to be able to embody... I think for me and for most people, it's they're wanting to be able to embody something that they really want to in themselves, but they have such a big resistance to it in the 4/4 organized sexual conventions as they are. So then they want to escape from that, and their body, their feeling, their will is trying to, but they haven't found the right avenue for that. And for me, that avenue is is kink and is furriness.
I'm actually so jealous. It honestly sounds dope. Anyone that's into BDSM and kink or has different things like this, it honestly just sounds so dope and immersive and like healing and intense and just like exciting and also like safe. You need so much trust and safety. And it's like you can't bypass that if you're going to enjoy it. Whereas so much mainstream sex, you bypass all of that. No one's getting all the nice safety and like emotional tenderness and kind of like consensual, you know, like, man, the communication, the empathy and the care for the other human that you'd have to then cultivate this beautiful space where you can be ultimately like free, vulnerable, authentic, experimental, creative, expressive, primal. What the fuck? I'm so jealous.
But
I mean, it's fine. I'm content with like the sex that I have.
The words that you just said doesn't sound like anything like that. Any of those words are exclusive to kink, and the conversation, especially just the conversation before sex, is like for a lot of gay people, it's just the first thing they do because a lot of them don't want.
For sure.
They just want to have sex, but they don't want to penetrate. They don't want penetration.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Mainstream
that,
heterosex has been allowed to be so slack. Like all of these other like more fringe or minority kind of like sexual expressions or communities, like anything queer, like kink, like poly, you just have to be so much more onto it with communication and consent and like having mature fucking adult conversations. And all the heteromanies don't fuck with that. They're just having the worst, most unconscious bullshit sex. And I hear about it way too fucking much. And like, I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum, but my God, guys, it can be better. And like, I think so many
That's not a
people.
Kink, it's just bad sex, isn't it?
Yeah, and people could just take a leaf out of the books of like, the fucking furries and the kinksters and stuff, because it is such a amazing life skill to like get so much practice to be really communicating like in a mature kind of shame-free way about this stuff. Yeah,
it just grows all of the
and then
all the things you need in between. It's like it grows that muscle of like checking in with your partner after you're done and just saying like, hey, how was that experience for you? Did you really like anything? Did you really not like anything? Did you, it's like, but not straight away. If I can let them feel what they're feeling, and it's like you guys can have a cup of tea afterwards and discuss things, and that's fun. Can be sexy, and it's you figure out how to do it.
Literally,
same thing with the pre-talk.
Nothing is hotter to me than great communication. It's literally the hottest shit ever. Like, my pussy throbs if someone's just like, someone I'm attracted to or, like, potentially courting or whatever, and they're laying down the fucking fat communication bars. And I'm like, excuse you? You just turned into a 10, baby. Like, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Like, I love that. It's definitely a non-negotiable for me. Anyway, got a bit sidetracked there.
It doesn't have to be complicated either.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. But I mean, I talk way too much on this podcast about how important communication is, and I feel like I'm a broken record now. But is there anything like, okay, so actually something else, this isn't potentially really even furry related, but I remember you like showing me some of your accessories, your sexual
accessories.
I would say
sex accessories.
Yeah, sex accessories. I love it. And like there was this like, you were like, what? You've never seen a dick sheath? And I was like, show me immediately. What do you mean a dick sheath?
I wish
and, like,
I did, yeah.
Fuck. So like that is, explain that. That's like
so it's made by a company called Bad Dragon on the internet. The American company. They hand make sex toys. And they're some of the best quality ones that I've seen. And
maybe I can get some free shit after dropping the name. So
yeah, they're great. And, it's worth a name drop. Like, they're fucking excellent.
Cool.
They're great people to align with because of the quality of the product that they make, and the communication was great, everything. And
okay, so like silicone?
Yeah, it's like a it's like high quality, high grade silicone, and then so it the cock sheath that I have.
Oh, cock sheath.
Yeah,
nice.
And it's called Flint's sheath. So Flint is like, they haven't created a whole persona and a character, but they have like Jasmine's this and Flint's that. So it's like they're actually creating sort of furry names and putting them on these things.
Oh my God, it's kind of a fairy dick.
Yeah, kind of create a mental image of what this animal
it's like
could
the
look
dragon
like.
dick.
Or and it's got these like ribs that they're sort of flat and smooth on the side, so it's like the head of a penis, and then it just like
like the coronal ridge, but like a bunch of them. Yeah,
just a bunch of them like that, and then also like little dots that come out on the bottom that would feel really good. And because this way the silicone moves, both parties can actually feel a lot of what's going on.
Oh, so the penis inside this like silicone sheath.
Yeah, inside.
Also, it's almost like fucking a fleshlight because you're
sort of, but it's like it's not moving so much. It's like it's actually like it's holding on to the balls around it, and it's got like a little sort of not quite as tight as like a cock ring would be, but it goes around your balls, and then the head of the penis comes out, and then then increases the size and the width, girth, and all that.
Yeah. Okay, so it's like a girth extender.
Yeah, that's why it's like why is even dick problems? Why is dick size a big thing for anyone? Because you can literally just get a sex toy that changes that for you, and it's like, you could use sex toys, so it's like all sorts of things. It's like there's something for everybody, and then it's the best male-bodied sex toys I've seen on the internet.
Cool.
And that took me a long time. I also have a masturbator as well, which is like a fleshlight, but it looks like a dragon's tail. And that one's called Jasmine, and it's got like, kind of looks like they've lopped the legs off. And it's flat on one side.
Oh, so it's
got
like
a little...
it's got her pussy and tail.
Yeah.
And chopped off the tummy and the thighs. So it's like, oh, wow, it's like a full...
And the top of the torso, I think. Maybe less.
Wow. Okay. How big is it?
Oh, it's not that big. It's like
fuck, this is so fascinating.
And it's heavy and nice, and like you
can probably fuck it.
Yeah, you could probably fuck it. It's a bit too tight for me, but yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's the big dick of it. No, I'm joking. I'm teasing. No, thank you so much for sharing all of this with me. This is so interesting.
Built to last.
Built to last. How often do you get to use your cock sheath?
Rarely. Again, that's like a thing that I think I would like to use with a developed partner. It's like, and it's like if any people don't know, but it's like if they get to know me, they like look past the exterior, they're like, the mask presenting whatever, then it's like, oh, there's all these other layers down here, and it's like, oh, have you seen my sex? I'm only going to whip the sex toys out when it's the right time. And I think there's a lot of people like that as well.
Oh, for sure.
Because they've realised how fucking kinky they are, and they've got to test the waters because they've just 100%. Put people straight in the water, and then they're like, I can't swim.
It's courteous to just ease them into it, and it's better for totally. I feel like there's certain things that I think better to just really get that out of the way immediately and communicate it. And like it's even similar. Like I've interviewed people on this podcast. I've done some episodes on STIs and on herpes, and I think it was the woman I was interviewing on herpes. The yoni nutritionist.
Yeah.
She was sort of saying like with disclosure stuff, she's tried both ways, and she's like tried if she's got no active outbreaks, just wears condoms, she'll like kind of not tell them until later, but then she feels and so she started telling them like straight up like, hey, and people can respond really beautifully, and people can respond really badly. And it's really fucking vulnerable, and she just has to, she's like, I don't have as much casual sex and fuck with people that I don't think can handle a mature conversation. And it's a really amazing thing that separates the wheat from the chaff, because if they're not emotionally mature enough to have a fucking conversation about STIs and
then how are they going to do consent?
Yeah. So anyway, it sounds kind of like similar. And again, communication.
Yeah.
Yep. What were we talking about?
Saves the nation.
Saves the nation. Oh, yeah, sex toys. So, okay, that's fucking fascinating. Cock sheath that looks like a persona's, like, the furry's
like
dick.
Dragon.
Yeah. The dragon. I remember seeing a thing about dragon dicks that lay, like, eggs into
they have
and
ones
stuff.
they have that on the website.
Yeah, it's
like
so...
ones that come and ones that lay eggs. And one looks like a demogorgon.
Oh, it's like blowing my mind, because I had no idea the extent of sex
Octopus.
toys. Yeah.
Then,
that's a hentai thing, right?
Yeah, tentacle porn.
Tentacle porn.
Yeah.
Fuck me. It's so interesting and so not my thing, but
it's a
God, awesome to talk about.
You can get like long floppy ones as well. They're like really long ones. It's pretty crazy. Man, people got like, I've seen some athletes on the internet. Some sexual athletes. Like I don't know.
Even just seeing someone getting fisted on like athletic
just bouncing on this, like it's literally like it's shaped like a horse's dick and it's huge.
Oh my
and they're just fucking going at it, and it's like, well, I'm happy you're getting this somewhere because I can't provide that for you.
Like,
You know, it's like, but I think this is why we all need to get, you know, comfortable with sex toys, because it adds so much more or different opportunities for fun. Because some things we just can't give to our partner physically, physiologically, we can't. So it's like, may as well just, you know, have a little taste test and see if
it's a sex hack.
Taste. Yeah, it's a sex hack.
Total fucking hack.
I love it.
Yeah, I guess I'm just really sheltered, and I've never like felt the need for a sex hack. I've had a pretty easy cruisy time, but really, well, no, that's not true. I was really fucked up about sex. That's why I'm doing this work now. But since everything's been peachy, like, I don't know, but I guess because I don't have any kinks that I've, you know, discovered and stuff, it's pretty like smooth sailing in terms of just like, I don't really have to have any of those sorts of conversations with people. Like, I'm one of those people that used to have like mainstream heterosexual fucking sex and not communicate at all, and it was bad sex. Like, you know. Anyway, so
like two bodies there, but
I wouldn't have thought to use toys to enhance that. I guess there's like toys can be bypassing sexual connection, and then toys can be enhancing things. And I suppose, I don't know, I just get off on human connection. I don't really need much else.
No, it's not. I don't, you know, I don't think it's like, you know, your partner's not like, because people usually use sex as like, oh, my partner's not satisfying me enough, so I need to add this extra thing. I think there's a spot for it where it's like, oh, we are having great sex, but then, you know, let's try this thing. And then you try it, and when you're having the dildo conversation, you realize that, like, oh, hang on, when I put this in you and I do this and it is at this speed, then you're like, oh, that feels good. And then you're learning some sort of like consenty things accidentally, because you're like, oh, I need to do this at a particular speed, or it needs to be positioned like that, or that feels good, or this feels good. You know, you're not just going to, you know, whip a dildo into somebody's, like, you know, you're kind of forced into having those conversations, you know. So I think
do you think everyone does though?
Not everyone does.
I've heard some pretty bad. Actually, that was something we were going to talk about, was like, not specifically furries, but like with the kink and BDSM world, like there are definitely some people getting around doing some damage because they're not doing it in an integral and consensual way, and it might be because they're actually fucking sadists or a malicious or narcissist, or like they're actually just really ignorant of, you know, how to do it.
Yeah, there's definitely it's just because it's easy for like big energies to take over those spaces, you know, and especially it's easy for that to happen in a room full of people at a kink club. So what happens when you're in a bedroom alone with somebody and they're a big energy and you just don't know how to speak for yourself, you know? I think there's dickheads everywhere who make things horrible for people and bastardize what the
and say like, oh, I'm a dom, I'm into kink, but they're actually just a fucking psycho.
Yeah, they think that means that what they say goes.
Because, like, I had a friend who will remain anonymous for obvious reasons, who, like, wouldn't mind me sharing this. And actually, she's probably going to come onto the potty and talk about it. We've been meaning to do it for fucking months. But, like, I can't remember the exact details, but, like, her story is, like, you know, she hooked up with this dude, went back to his house, and he had housemates and stuff, and he, like, she'd never really experienced any kind of kink stuff, but she was sort of young and, like, oh, I guess I'll just, you know, see how it goes. And he, like, he tied her up, and she was like, okay, like, I guess we'll do that. But then he, like, shoved a fucking butt plug, like a vibrator up her butt that didn't have a flange. And
any pre-conversation?
No, and then he left the room.
Oh, man, I would
and left her there, tied up with a fucking vibrating egg in her ass that she couldn't get out. And it was fully traumatic for her. It's fucked. And that's, like, the most unethical fucking thing I can think of.
Gross.
So, like, yeah, exactly. And that stuff does happen. And he would be like, yeah, I'm like a dom, and I can, like, fucking, I'm on this power trip. Like, you know, it's just the absolute opposite of what BDSM is all about at its essence, if it's done well and with integrity. But, like, that stuff's happening. And, like, the choking, like, because people see shit in porn now and they're just like, let's just fucking like choking out people so normal and hot, and then they're like crushing tracheas and stuff. And like,
Well, I think it's because it's just part of the the default network of humanity. Like we would put a masculine, male-bodied person in a position of domination, and then they think that they're entitled to everything when they put themselves in that realm. But really, all the stuff that went on there should have been a pre-conversation. Like, hey, this is what I want. Can you fulfill these things? If she's like, no, then the answer is fucking no. And then, there's just so many things wrong there. It's like, and tying somebody up. I'm not sure how many times you'd seen him, but that's like, to me, that takes a lot of trust. But people don't realize how vulnerable the space is if they've never done it before. And then they're tied up and they're like, hang on a second, I can't fucking move. Like, if they wanted to kill me right now, they could just kill me right now. And then someone shoves something up your fucking butt, And it's like, and then that's an absolutely fucking horrible experience.
Yeah, yep.
That's fucking awful.
Yeah.
What was the other part? You said something else. Horrible experience, it's awful thing.
I think just that it can be done really badly, and
on choking, which is probably the bigger one, because people, it's like actually choking is quite a hectic thing. It's more of like a far down the line thing in BDSM, right? Like you would try and
advanced.
Yeah. It's an advanced thing, and then you'd want to know that your partner's really across like being able to control the pressure around your throat and not even necessarily choking you. The feeling of just having someone's hand there is actually really can be really intense.
Totally.
Just of having someone's hand there. And like because of this, now when I have a sexual experience with female body people, I'll make a point that if we do some sort of like there's some neck things going on, I'll put my hand up to their neck and they'll be like, I'll say, is this okay? And then they'll say yeah, or they'll say no, and I'll be like, or and they'll be like and then I won't go really hard, and I'll ask them pressure notes, and then as I let it go, I usually hold my hand there, so then I'm telling their body that they're safe.
Yeah,
because
that's definitely a way to do it.
Has been treated so badly, and like when I was with a female-bodied person, one of my ex-partners who has a baby, then her boobs were getting gnawed on and used a lot unconsensually by this baby. So I would treat them very nicely, and I would be nice and gentle. And I feel like that's like is undervalued in what it can actually provide in terms of like a sensual, sexual, like exciting, pleasurable experience for both parties. Because to see your partner really truly relax and feel that great relief is such a rare experience in the world generally, so we can provide that for each other. Like,
and that's why it's so sad that like literally now it's like kids are doing that to one another the first time they ever have sex with zero consent, and they think it's normal because they see it in porn, and they're doing it. I've heard stories of 14-year-olds kind of doing it the first time they had sex, and like both of them being kind of traumatized and really not liking it, and then like going and talking at this therapy circle or some shit, I don't know, but like it was really like sad and very like indicative of like what's kind of happening, and it's really dangerous because you can genuinely do so much damage. Like
you're going really hard.
You can. It's not even that hard to like fuck it up. Like it's one of the biggest, isn't it? The biggest sex injury. Like people actually do die from it or get damaged, like damaged tracheas, and like you can fuck some shit up, and it's very common that people do because they're not actually, educated, experienced BDSM practitioners or kinksters. They just are fucking acting out shit they've seen in porn because they think it's normal.
Or they've just done it if they haven't done a bit of jits.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, because that's an air choke. It's not a blood choke.
Well, blood choke most people haven't done jiu-jitsu.
Blood choke is one where you cut off the actual blood supply to their brain and they'll pass out. the other one will just suffocate them, and they'll die from asphyxiation in the
Fuck, sounds hard.
long enough. But
yeah, shit.
it's just people just need to be way more gentle, and just I think with sexuality overall, and I think
it's true.
And then work your way into intense moments, big intenseness, and then it comes away. So we appreciate the intenseness, and then it's like and also like on the choking thing, it's like there's a lot of, I'm sure I've heard there's a lot of female-bodied people who, when they're young, they're offered it as a thing that because they thought that was their role, they're playing that role. They're like, oh, this is what my partner wants, this is what they'll enjoy, and then the partner, neither of them are enjoying it. She didn't want to do it. He was doing it because she offered it, and then this is his role. But it's confronting choking somebody. It's confronting hurting someone that you're supposed to have a pleasurable. But that's the BDSM community understands that confrontation, and they use that as sort of an exciting thing. Yeah. But if you don't understand that, then now you're just
acting out.
You're just traumatizing yourself.
That's what I was saying about those
14-year-olds.
All right. Well, anyway, we are way over time. We're going to wrap up. But is there anything else you wanted to add that you want everyone to know about furries, about whatever stuff we've talked about?
Hey, me again. If you'd like to support the potty and you've already given it 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening on, I want to mention that you can buy some really dope merch from the website and get yourself a Labia Lounge tote, tee, togs. Yep, you heard that right. I even have Labia Lounge bathers. Or a cute fanny pack if that'd blow your hair back. So if fashion isn't your passion, though, you can donate to my Buy Me a Coffee donation page, which is actually called Buy Me a Soy Chai Latte, because I'll be the first to admit I'm a bit of a Melbourne cafe tosser like that. And yes, that is my coffee order. You can do a once-off donation or an ongoing membership and sponsor me for as little as 3 fat ones a month. And I also offer one-on-one coaching and online courses that'll help you level up your sex life and relationship with yourself and others in a really big way. So every bit helps, because it ain't cheap to put out a sweet podcast into the world every week out of my own pocket. So I will be undyingly grateful if you support me and my biz financially in any of these ways. And if you like, I'll even give you a mental BJ with my mind from the lounge itself. Saucy. And I'll pop the links in the show notes. Thank you. Later.
Because this has been highly fascinating, just quietly. Like, what the fuck? Probably one of my faves.
Oh, great.
Because it's just just so rare that you get, I would say, and like people write into me, fucking tell me, like sometimes I feel like I'm throwing content out into the vacuum here, but like let me know how you found this, whether it was accessible, whether you found it also fascinating and like deeply insightful into like a world that you wouldn't have access to normally, because I find talking to people about these things incredibly fascinating and rewarding, because I just could never possibly hope to understand it if I wasn't allowed to ask all of these really personal questions and them to like generously share their knowledge and experience and vulnerability. And you've just done this on a potty, and I think that's sick and it's rare. And, I hope lots of people listen to it, whether they're into furries or BDSM or not. Like, I think it's important to understand that side of the kind of perspective, because like I wouldn't normally, being the pretty sort of non-kinky person that I am.
Vanilla. I love that.
Nil.
Well, the last thing I would like to say, I guess, is just that I think, to me, it's just a belief. I think in everyone there's something kinky, there's something strange, there's something that I don't know if I should say that. Like, they'll think I'm weird, or they'll think I'm strange, or they'll think I'm this or that. Explore that feeling and then open up to your partner or significant other about that, or your friends, people who would actually hear you and not judge you and understand what you're experiencing and what you're desiring, and then allow someone the space to come in to there and hold you in that space.
I think that's not always an option for some people, though. Like, it would be hard to find that, and some people don't even have friends that they can talk to about sex, regular sex, let alone...
Go online, go on Reddit, find some people in a subreddit, find a Discord chat, or if you don't have a community, make a community. Just reach out, find kink events, and try to connect with the right people.
Get in touch with Liam.
Yeah, get in touch with me. For sure. I'd love to talk. I would love to
build
talk about
some fucking community. I actually interviewed a beautiful person.
I would totally do that. I'd love to
You
hold the
should.
furries down.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just such a beautiful space for everybody, and we can make it really, really safe and cozy and fluffy, and just chill and big hip hop and good times. Yeah.
So just
crunchy party with the neon lights and
what the fluff.
Yeah.
So takeaway message: just give it a go, gang. Just take the risk, give it a little try, see if you can find someone to connect with on this, and
find that spot in yourself. What does it mean? What is it to you? Doesn't need to be with anyone else necessarily. Just explore that, write about it, draw it, look at the porn, see if it excites you. If it doesn't, if it's not your yum, then and if it's not your yuck, then maybe it's something in between, and you can just keep exposing and finding yourself.
And that will dismantle some of the layers of shame that might have prevented you from acting on it or exploring it before. It might just slowly start to thaw out or melt away the layers of shame.
And if it's all the way up here.
And judgment, self-judgment, and internalized misogyny, and we're battling against it. So I guess, in the process of starting to become open to leaning into it or exploring it, just knowing that there are other people that are into this and feel this way.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. And there's no need to be ashamed.
No.
How good.
Yeah, shame has no place in the bedroom.
Dude, this is so great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure.
Bloody love you.
Any bloody time, mate.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's it, darling hearts. Thanks for stopping by the Labia Lounge. Your bum groove in the couch will be right where you left it, just waiting for you to sink back in for some more double L action next time. If you'd be a dear and subscribe, share this episode, or leave a review on iTunes, then you can pat yourself on the snatch, because that's a downright act of sex-positive feminist activism, and you'd be supporting my vision to educate, empower, demystify, and destigmatize with this here podcast. I'm also always open to feedback, topic ideas that you'd love to hear covered, questions or guest suggestions, so feel free to get in touch via my website or over on Insta. You can also send me in TMI stories to be shared anonymously on the pod. My handle is FreyaGraf_the Labia Lounge, if my account hasn't been deleted for being too sex positive, which, is always a possibility with censorship. But just in case the chronic censorship finally does obliterate my social channels, I'd highly recommend going and joining my mailing list and snagging yourself some fun freebies for the trouble at www.freyagraf.com/freebies. Anyway, later, labial legends. See you next time.